The sky over Earth was changing, not slowly like the colors of sunset, but rapidly, with flashes of silver and shadow moving among the stars. People all over the planet noticed. Phones buzzed, news channels interrupted their regular programming, and the world seemed to hold its breath. No one knew exactly what was coming, only that it was coming in numbers no human had ever faced before. From space, 9,900 ships moved in perfect formation, each one larger than the biggest human city. They glimmered under the sun, metallic and cold as if the stars themselves had been forged into weapons. The Armada was silent, yet its presence spoke of power, conquest, and unstoppable force. In New York, Liara Chen, a young pilot for the Earth Defense Coalition, stared out at the night sky from the roof of her apartment. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the sheer enormity of what she was witnessing. Beside her, her brother Rohan tried to reassure her. "They're far away," he said. "By the time they reach Earth, we'll have a plan." Liara shook her head. "Rohan, far away doesn't mean safe. Look at their numbers. 9,900 ships. Even if we destroy 10, 100, 1,000, it's still more than we can fight." Rohan sighed. "Then we fight smart. That's all we can do." Across the globe, humanity reacted differently. Some panicked while others prepared for what might be the greatest challenge in history. Nations formed alliances that had once been unthinkable. Old rivalries were set aside in the face of the universal threat. The United Nations quickly transformed into a command center, directing military forces across continents, oceans, and skies. Dr. Armand Vasquez, a leading scientist in orbital defense technology, stood in the control room of the EDC headquarters. The room buzzed with activity, technicians monitoring screens, generals discussing strategies, and analysts calculating probabilities for survival. "Everything is ready," Armand said, his voice calm but tense. "Our orbital defense stations are active, the new energy shields are online, and the experimental strike craft are prepared. But remember, these ships are not ordinary. They are advanced, faster than anything humanity has built, and likely smarter than us in ways we don't yet understand." General Petra Ivanov, a seasoned veteran of Earth's military, crossed her arms. "We've survived worse. This is bigger, yes, but humans are resourceful. If the aliens think their numbers will overwhelm us, they've underestimated our determination." Even as words of reassurance circulated, a massive fleet of alien ships entered the solar system. They moved like a silent storm, leaving a trail of shadows that made stars seem dimmer. Sensors picked up energy signatures far beyond what humanity had encountered. The fleet's presence alone caused satellites to fail, and communication lines to flicker. On the surface, Liara and Rohan watched as the first reports came in. Small, distant explosions, already a sign of humanity's resistance, marked the initial skirmishes in orbit. The humans fought valiantly, but for every alien ship destroyed, more seemed to appear in its place. The first real encounter happened above the Pacific Ocean. 3 experimental strike craft, piloted by the best human pilots, engaged a fleet of alien scouts. Liara's heart raced as she followed the feed from the control room. Missiles streaked across the void, and energy blasts lit up the blackness of space like miniature suns. One of the alien scouts was destroyed in a brilliant explosion, but the other 2 maneuvered with frightening precision, forcing the human pilots to retreat. "Again, they are faster than we expected," Dr. Vasquez muttered, frowning at the monitors. "But they're also predictable. Their patterns are mechanical. If we can anticipate them, we can strike back." Back on Earth, civilians experienced the first shock of reality. News anchors described streaks in the sky, flashes of energy, and the ominous shapes of alien ships hovering silently above major cities. People evacuated, some in panic, while others tried to document the events, taking photos and videos that would later become historical records. Liara and Rohan ran toward the EDC command center, joining the thousands of others mobilizing for defense. Air bases were filled with planes, orbital platforms were readying their weapons, and underground bunkers buzzed with scientists working on countermeasures. The world was fighting as one, yet the fear was palpable. The aliens, however, were not slow in sending their message. Massive landing forces entered Earth's atmosphere, descending like dark clouds over the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The first waves struck isolated islands and remote territories, testing humanity's defenses. Entire military units were wiped out, but the humans learned from every encounter, adapting quickly. General Ivanov watched the reports with a grim expression. "They expected an easy conquest," she said. "Instead, they find a species that refuses to surrender, that fights with every ounce of strength. We can use that." Dr. Vasquez nodded. "Our best chance is to use their reliance on numbers against them. Their fleet is massive, but it is also rigid. If we can isolate groups, disrupt their communication, we can reduce their effectiveness." Meanwhile, the first human heroes began to emerge. Liara, Rohan, and their fellow pilots were tasked with scouting alien formations and reporting weak points. They learned quickly that improvisation was as important as technology. A clever maneuver here, a daring attack there, could save countless lives. On one mission, Liara's team intercepted a small alien supply vessel. Using a combination of human piloting skill and experimental technology, they disabled the ship and retrieved data that revealed part of the alien fleet's strategy. Humanity learned that the aliens relied heavily on a central intelligence network to coordinate their attacks. Disrupting that network could give humanity an edge if they could reach it. Night fell, but the battle continued. In orbit, streaks of energy lit the darkness as humans and aliens clashed. On Earth, cities prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the landing forces. People waited, hoping the defenses would hold, praying that the planet they had inherited would survive. Liara and Rohan returned to the rooftop of their apartment after a long day of sorties and reconnaissance. The city below was quiet for the moment, though sirens could be heard in the distance. "Do you think we can do it?" Rohan asked, gazing at the stars. Liara's eyes were fixed on the distant alien fleet, a glittering wall in the night sky. "I don't know, but we have to. We don't have a choice. Earth is all we have, and we will fight for it, no matter what." In the dark, the alien ships hovered, waiting. Their commanders watched the humans struggle, unaware that the species below had something they had not counted on: ingenuity, courage, and the unbreakable will to survive. The first part of the battle was only the beginning. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and it would do so again. As the night stretched on, every human who could fight prepared for the days to come, unaware that the story of survival would become legend. By dawn, the sky over Earth was no longer calm. It was alive with movement, fire, and light. Humanity had survived the first strike, but the war had just begun. And somewhere among the stars, the alien commanders observed, realizing that Earth would not be conquered so easily. The morning sun rose over Earth, but there was no warmth in the light. Cities that had once been full of life now trembled under the shadow of alien warships. From the sky, the Armada cast darkness across oceans, forests, and mountains. Humanity had survived the first strike, but the battle was far from over. On the coast of South America, a small fleet of alien landing crafts descended into the dense forests of Brazil. The ships were enormous, bristling with weapons, and their engines hummed like giant metallic insects. They were met by soldiers of the Earth Defense Coalition, who had set up ambushes and defensive positions among the trees. Captain Elena Marquez led the human forces in the jungle. She was a veteran of multiple conflicts, though nothing in her experience could compare to this moment. She studied the approaching alien crafts through her binoculars, noticing patterns in their movements that seemed almost too precise, yet strangely repetitive. "They're testing us," she muttered. "They want to see how we fight." Lieutenant Omar Singh, her second-in-command, frowned. "We don't have the numbers to match them. We need to hit smart, strike fast, and retreat before they can overwhelm us." Elena nodded. "Exactly. Use the terrain. Use our knowledge of the land. We can't win with brute force, but we can survive, and survive long enough to fight back." Above the battlefield, Liara Chen and her team of pilots patrolled the skies in their experimental strike craft. Their mission was to provide reconnaissance, and intercept alien aircraft that attempted to support the ground forces. The sleek human ships darted between the massive alien crafts, firing precision energy pulses and avoiding return fire. "Look at their formation," Liara said, pointing to a cluster of ships approaching the coastline. "They're protecting something. A larger craft must be behind them." Rohan, piloting the wingman ship beside her, nodded. "Then we make a path for the ground forces. Let's lure them into our trap." The first contact was explosive. Alien drones descended from their larger ships, firing beams that ignited trees and sent shockwaves through the jungle. Human soldiers returned fire with advanced railguns and improvised explosives, creating clouds of smoke that hid their positions. Despite superior alien technology, the humans fought with determination and creativity. Elena's team used the forest to their advantage. Soldiers moved silently among the trees, setting ambushes and creating barriers that slowed the alien advance. They used EMP grenades to disable alien drones and launched harpoons connected to energy cables to trap smaller landing crafts. Each small victory bought precious time, but casualties were inevitable. Liara's squadron worked in coordination with the ground forces, using aerial attacks to force alien units into human traps. The pilots relied on split-second maneuvers, outthinking machines that could predict some movements but not human intuition. Amid the chaos, Dr. Armin Vasquez monitored the battle from a mobile command center. He had been analyzing alien technology captured from previous skirmishes in orbit, and now directed small teams to exploit weaknesses in the invading forces. "Focus on the support units," Armin ordered. "If we take out their supply chains and communication nodes, we can isolate the command ships. That's when we can strike." Meanwhile, the alien commanders adjusted their tactics. Their ships began to divide into smaller groups, trying to outflank human defenses. But the humans adapted quickly. News of successful ambushes and clever strategies spread among the troops, boosting morale even as the losses mounted. In one daring maneuver, Liara led her squadron directly into the path of a massive alien cruiser. Using high-speed dives and sudden turns, they drew the cruiser away from the main force, allowing Elena's soldiers to strike the ship with precision missiles. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant fireball, shaking the surrounding area and sending shockwaves across the battlefield. For a moment, the humans cheered, but there was no time to celebrate. More alien crafts were already landing, and the destruction of one ship had only slowed the invasion. In the skies above Europe, a similar battle unfolded. Cities like Paris, Berlin, and London were witnessing the first full-scale landings. Human resistance was fierce, coordinated, and surprisingly effective. Engineers had managed to adapt alien weaponry, and soldiers had learned to anticipate drone movements. Civilian volunteers even assisted, supplying resources and intelligence from underground networks. It became clear that the aliens had underestimated human ingenuity. Their strategy relied on speed, overwhelming numbers, and centralized coordination. Humanity, however, was unpredictable, clever, and capable of using the environment and improvisation to their advantage. On the ground, Captain Elena led her squad to a key alien supply hub. She knew that destroying it could disrupt communications and delay reinforcements. The soldiers moved silently through the jungle, avoiding patrols and setting charges on the hub's energy cores. When the hub exploded, it sent a shockwave through the alien network. Drones malfunctioned, landing crafts collided, and communication between alien units faltered. For the first time, the humans had truly turned the tide in a localized battle. Meanwhile, Liara and Rohan returned to orbit to intercept a damaged alien command vessel attempting to flee. The ship was massive, covered in armor, and bristling with weapons. But human creativity once again proved decisive. Using a combination of energy pulses and clever maneuvers, they disabled the ship's propulsion system and forced it to crash into the ocean. As the day ended, humans around the world took stock of their victories and losses. Tens of thousands had fought bravely, and though many had fallen, they had proved one undeniable truth: Earth would not surrender. In the quiet moments after the fighting, soldiers and civilians alike reflected on what had happened. Messages were sent across the globe sharing strategies, successes, and warnings. Humanity had learned that unity, courage, and quick thinking were as valuable as any weapon. Dr. Vasquez reviewed the data recovered from the alien ships. Their network is the key, he explained to General Ivanov. If we can disrupt it on a larger scale, we can control the battlefield. We might not defeat them outright yet, but we can survive long enough to find a way. General Ivanov nodded. And we will. Earth is our home. Every human being alive, every life lost, it all has value. The aliens will not take this planet without a fight. They will learn that humanity cannot be conquered. Liara, Rohan, and their fellow pilots returned to their temporary base on the outskirts of the Pacific coastline. Exhausted but determined, they began planning their next missions. Each pilot knew the risks, understood the odds, yet none hesitated. They had seen what humans could do when pushed to the edge. At night, Liara gazed at the stars once more. The alien fleet had not retreated. They hovered silently beyond the atmosphere, waiting, watching. But humanity had shown strength, creativity, and courage. Rohan joined her quietly. "Do you think we can win?" he asked softly. Liara looked at the glowing horizon, where the last fires of battle were still visible. "We will survive," she said. "We will fight. And when the time comes, we will show them that Earth belongs to no one but us." The first contact with the aliens had been brutal, frightening, and deadly. Yet it had also revealed something crucial. Humanity was not weak. They had clever minds, brave hearts, and the will to endure against impossible odds. In the alien ships above, commanders were recalculating, trying to understand why a species so small and seemingly fragile had caused such disruption. They had not expected strategy, courage, or creativity. They had assumed numbers and technology alone would be enough. For the humans on Earth, the lesson was clear. Survival depended on every person, every decision, every moment of courage. The war was only beginning, but the first victories proved that humanity could fight back, and perhaps one day win. By the end of the day, the skies were calm once more, though the shadow of the alien fleet still loomed. Humans around the world rested briefly, tended to the wounded, and prepared for the battles to come. And somewhere above the clouds, the alien armada waited, unaware that they had already underestimated the humans below. The morning sun rose over Earth, painting the horizon with pale gold, but there was no warmth in the light. The planet had survived the first contact, but the alien fleet still hovered beyond the atmosphere, waiting to strike again. The humans had learned much, but the next phase of the war would demand ingenuity, bravery, and teamwork unlike anything before. In orbit, Liara Chen and her squadron prepared for a mission unlike any they had flown before. They were tasked with a dangerous plan: infiltrate one of the alien command ships, disable its central intelligence network, and escape before the entire fleet could retaliate. Success would mean giving humanity a chance to control the battlefield. Failure would mean death. General Petra Ivanov addressed the pilots, her voice steady. "This mission will be dangerous. You will face alien defenses designed to kill, traps we cannot yet predict, and technology far beyond our own. But if we succeed, we strike at the heart of their operation. Earth depends on you." Liara clenched her fists, feeling a mixture of fear and determination. "We won't fail," she said. "Not after everything we've survived. Not now." Rohan, preparing his strike craft, nodded. "We fight smart. We fight together. That's our advantage." The team launched at dawn, slipping past the outer alien patrols using stealth technology and evasive maneuvers. The vastness of space made every movement tense, every decision crucial. Energy pulses streaked past them. Alien drones scanned the void, and massive warships loomed like predators waiting for a mistake. As they approached the target, the alien command ship appeared in its full size, a colossal structure, bristling, with weapons and shielded by layers of energy fields. Liara's heart pounded, but she forced herself to focus. "We go in quietly, strike fast, and move out," she reminded her team. Inside the ship, the aliens had created a maze of corridors. Chambers and control nodes. Their intelligence network pulsed like a living brain, coordinating every vessel in the fleet. The humans had to find the main core without triggering the defenses. Liara, Rohan, and two other pilots, Commander Soren and Engineer Maya, navigated the alien corridors carefully. Their suits allowed them to breathe in the alien environment, but they had to remain invisible to the ship's sensors. Even a single alarm could call reinforcements. The team reached a chamber where the core's energy flowed like a river of light. Massive structures hummed with power, and alien interfaces flashed with data streams. Maya immediately went to work, connecting human devices to the alien systems, searching for a way to disrupt the network. "This is it," Maya whispered. "If we can send a virus through their core, it will scramble communications across the fleet. Ships will turn on each other or at least hesitate long enough for us to escape and give Earth a chance to counterattack." Rohan stood watch, scanning the corridors for patrols. "Time is short, we can't stay here long." As Maya inserted the code into the alien systems, the ship shook violently. Alarm sirens echoed through the corridors. Alien drones had detected a disturbance. "They know we're here," Liara shouted. The team ran through the maze of corridors, dodging energy blasts and collapsing walkways. They had learned the hard way that alien technology was fast and deadly. One wrong move, one miscalculated turn, and they could be trapped. Above them, the fleet began to react. Ships shifted formation, sending reinforcements to the compromised command vessel. The humans knew that their window of opportunity was shrinking rapidly. Finally, Maya activated the virus. Streams of light flowed. Across the alien core, a system shut down. Communications scrambled and the central intelligence network faltered. Ships that had been attacking Earth paused in confusion, drifting in space as their coordination faltered. Liara grinned. "It's working. They don't know what's happening." But there was no time to celebrate. Alien drones blocked the team's exit, forcing them to fight their way through. Laser beams cut through the air and the humans returned fire with precision. Each of them moved as one, covering each other, relying on trust and teamwork. Soren was hit in the arm, but he kept moving, protecting Maya as she worked. Rohan executed a daring maneuver to disable a pursuing drone, using the ship's environment against it. Liara led the team through a maintenance tunnel that opened into a cargo bay, where their strike crafts waited. As they lifted off, the alien command ship erupted in explosions. Energy pulses, sparks, and fire cascaded outward as the virus worked its way through the fleet systems. Outside, humans saw a sight they had never expected: ships drifting in confusion, some colliding, others retreating without orders. "We did it!" Liara shouted, though her voice trembled from exhaustion. They're falling apart!" Back on Earth, the effects of the mission were immediately visible. Across the globe, human forces found alien troops disoriented, confused, and vulnerable. Cities that had been under siege saw alien units retreating, and humans seized the opportunity to strike back with renewed vigor. Captain Elena Marquez led her soldiers through previously impossible operations. The alien forces, now without coordinated support, were easier to outmaneuver. Using clever tactics, traps, and human determination, they managed to push back the invaders in key regions. Meanwhile, Dr. Vasquez analyzed data transmitted from the strike team. "This is beyond what we imagined," he said. "They rely entirely on the central network. Now that it's disabled, even partially, we can predict and counter their moves. We have the advantage for the first time." In orbit, Liara and Rohan communicated with General Ivanov. "Mission accomplished," Liara reported. "The network is disrupted. Ships are confused. We're returning to base." Ivanov's voice came back, steady and proud. "Excellent work. You've changed the course of this war. Earth owes you a debt." As the team descended toward Earth, they looked down on a planet still scarred by battle but alive with resilience. Cities were damaged, forests burned, and oceans dotted with wreckage, but humanity endured. They had faced overwhelming odds and had turned the tide, at least for now. In the aftermath, humans around the world shared stories of bravery, heroism, and clever thinking. The mission inspired millions, showing that even against superior technology, intelligence, courage, and unity could prevail. Civilians volunteered to rebuild defenses, share information, and assist wherever possible. But the alien fleet was not defeated. Its commanders regrouped, analyzing the unexpected human strategy. They had underestimated Earth's inhabitants, humanity's ability to adapt, innovate, and work together. The pause in their advance was temporary, but the lesson had been learned. Earth was not an easy target. Liara, Rohan, and the surviving pilots were celebrated as heroes, but they knew the war was far from over. Every mission carried risk, every battle demanded courage, and the alien fleet remained a looming threat above. On the night after their return, Liara stood on the roof of their temporary base, looking up at the stars. The alien ships, though, confused, were still there, silent and watching. The humans had struck a decisive blow, but the enemy would return, stronger and wiser. Rohan joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We made a difference today," he said softly. Liara nodded, eyes fixed on the sky. "Yes, we did, but this is only the beginning. We have shown them that Earth fights back, and next time, we will be ready." The world held its breath, knowing that more battles were coming. But for the first time, humanity had hope, not just of survival, but of victory. The turning point had been reached. Humans had shown that cleverness, bravery, and unity could overcome even the most terrifying odds. And somewhere beyond the clouds, the alien commanders recalculated, their confidence shaken, realizing that this tiny blue planet was not going to surrender quietly. The skies over Earth were no longer just dark with fear. They were alive with fire, movement, and hope. Humanity had learned that survival was not enough. Now it was time to strike back. The alien fleet had been disrupted by the daring mission of Liara Chen and her squadron. The network that coordinated the invaders had faltered, leaving their ships disoriented and vulnerable. General Petra Ivanov addressed the leaders of the Earth Defense Coalition. "This is our moment," she said. "For the first time, the enemy is not invincible. They are confused, unorganized, and exposed. We will take the fight to them. Every human being who can fight must rise to the challenge. Today, we strike back." Across the world, cities, military bases, and orbital platforms mobilized for a coordinated counteroffensive. Engineers worked day and night to adapt alien technology, recovered from the disrupted ships. Soldiers trained with renewed determination, and pilots prepared their strike crafts for missions that would decide the course of the war. Liara Chen and Rohan, now considered heroes of the fleet, joined the planning sessions. Their experience inside the alien command ship gave humanity a unique advantage. They could anticipate alien movements, predict patterns, and suggest strategies that no human commander had considered before. "We need to divide them," Liara explained, pointing at the holographic map of the orbiting alien fleet. "If we force the smaller groups to fight separately, they will lose the advantage of numbers. We hit fast, strike hard, and then disappear before they can regroup." Rohan nodded. "And we use everything we have. Energy pulses, railguns, experimental, shields, even improvisation. They won't expect humans to fight like this." The first phase of the offensive began in the Pacific sector. Human strike crafts swooped in from orbit, targeting isolated alien ships that had broken formation. Energy blasts illuminated the darkness of space as the humans used tactics learned from previous encounters. Each maneuver was precise, each attack coordinated with the ground forces below. On Earth, Captain Elena Marquez led ground troops in synchronized strikes. They used the terrain, traps, and ambushes to outmaneuver the alien forces. Drones were disabled, landing crafts destroyed, and supply lines cut. Every human soldier, pilot, and volunteer contributed to a plan that had once seemed impossible. The aliens, unprepared for such organized resistance, struggled to respond. Confusion spread among their ranks. Some ships collided in space while others retreated aimlessly. searching for the lost connection to their command network. Humanity had discovered that the key to defeating the invaders was intelligence, coordination, and unbreakable will. In Europe, similar battles raged. Cities like Berlin, London, and Paris became centers of resistance, where humans fought not only with weapons, but with strategy and clever improvisation. Engineers created barriers from debris, soldiers set traps in narrow streets, and civilian volunteers assisted with communications and logistics. Even in the chaos of war, humans demonstrated creativity that no alien could predict. Liara's squadron led an attack on a fleet of alien cruisers that had gathered near the Atlantic. Using a combination of speed, precision, and daring maneuvers, they struck the weakest points of the ships. Energy shields deflected alien fire while railgun blasts tore through the hulls. Several cruisers were disabled, and the surviving crews retreated in confusion. Meanwhile, Dr. Armand Vasquez coordinated orbital operations. Using data from the disrupted network, he directed humans to attack the most vulnerable ships. Focus on the communication units, he instructed. Without them, the aliens cannot coordinate. We can force them into mistakes, and every mistake is an opportunity for us. On the ground, Captain Elena's team discovered an alien supply depot hidden in a canyon. Destroying it cut off reinforcements and forced alien forces into a defensive position. With the humans in control of the high ground and the aliens scattered, the tide of battle shifted rapidly. Despite these victories, the cost was high. Cities lay in ruins, forests burned, and oceans were littered with wreckage from both sides. Human casualties were heavy, but every life lost inspired the survivors to fight harder. They understood that victory required sacrifice, courage, and determination. In orbit, Liara's squadron noticed something troubling. A group of heavily armed alien ships had remained in formation, untouched by the disruption. These were the elite vessels, commanded by the most experienced alien leaders. They posed the greatest threat, and humanity knew that defeating them would be essential to ending the invasion. "We need a plan," Rohan said, studying the formations on the holographic map. "If they regroup, they could destroy everything we've worked for." Liara's eyes narrowed. "Then we divide them. We draw them out, isolate them, and strike with everything we have. It won't be easy, but nothing worth fighting forever is." The final phase of the counteroffensive began. Human forces combined air, land, and orbital attacks in a coordinated strike that had never been attempted before. Every unit moved with precision, every decision backed by experience and intelligence gathered from previous battles. Captain Elena led a daring raid to disable the alien supply lines, while Liara and Rohan's squadron targeted the elite ships directly. Explosions lit up the skies as railguns, energy pulses, and missiles tore through the alien armor. The elite vessels fought back fiercely, but the humans were relentless. Using strategy, creativity, and teamwork, they managed to disable several of the command ships. The aliens began to retreat. Their formation broke apart completely, and the remaining ships fled into space. Humanity had taken the offensive and turned the tide of the war. The planet was scarred, but the invaders had been forced to withdraw. In the aftermath, humans celebrated cautiously. The war was far from over, but for the first time, humanity had proven that it could strike back against a seemingly unstoppable enemy. The stories of courage, sacrifice, and ingenuity spread around the world, inspiring hope and determination. Dr. Vasquez addressed the commanders. "We have shown them what humans can do. The alien fleet is still dangerous, but we now have the upper hand. They underestimated us, and that was their greatest mistake." General Ivanov nodded. "Earth has survived. Humanity has survived, and we will continue to fight until the threat is gone. Every human being who can stand and defend this planet will stand. Every human being who can fight will fight. That is our strength." Liara and Rohan returned to the temporary base, exhausted, but proud. They had seen the power of human courage and ingenuity firsthand. Every human who had fought had contributed to a victory that once seemed impossible. At night, Liara stood on a rooftop overlooking the city. Fires from the battle still glowed in the distance, but the air was filled with hope. Humanity had proven that it could fight against overwhelming odds, and it had done so with intelligence, bravery, and unity. Rohan joined her quietly. "We've done something incredible," he said. "We've taken the fight to them. But we need to stay ready. They will return." Liara looked up at the stars where the alien fleet still lingered. "Yes, they will return. But next time they will know that Earth fights back, and humans never give up. We will be ready for them." Across the planet, people worked to rebuild, heal, and strengthen their defenses. Engineers improved weapons and energy shields, soldiers trained for future battles, and civilians assisted in every way they could. The war had taught humanity that survival depended on every person, every decision, and every moment of courage. The alien fleet, meanwhile, regrouped beyond the edge of the solar system. Their commanders analyzed the unexpected human tactics, the coordination and the ingenuity that had turned what they assumed would be an easy conquest into a battlefield of chaos. For the first time, the aliens realized that Earth was not a planet to conquer with force alone. Humans were clever, brave, and unpredictable. They could survive, adapt, and strike back. And so Earth prepared for the battles to come, knowing that humanity had turned the tide. The war was far from over, but for the first time, hope shone brightly across the planet. Humans had struck back, and the story of courage, ingenuity, and unity would become a legend. The survivors knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as one species, determined to defend their home. The night sky was no longer silent. It was alive with movement, with the promise of continued resistance and with the knowledge that humanity would never surrender. The sky above Earth was quiet, but it was a deceptive calm. Humanity had survived the first strikes, disrupted the alien fleet, and even struck back. But the final battle loomed. The aliens who remained were the strongest, the most experienced, and the most dangerous. Every human who could fight prepared for what might be the decisive confrontation. Liara, Chen, and Rohan sat in their strike craft, checking their weapons and energy shields. Their squadron had been selected for a mission that carried enormous risk: lead a coordinated strike on the remaining alien command ships, ensuring that the invaders could no longer regroup. General Petra Ivanov addressed the pilots. "This is the final phase. The enemy's command ships are their strength. If we destroy them, their fleet will collapse. You are humanity's hope. Every action counts, every decision matters." Liara nodded, her hands steady on the controls. "We've come this far. We'll finish it." Rohan glanced at her. "Together, we'll see this through." The strike craft launched into space, moving toward the heart of the alien fleet. Below them, the planet was alive with human forces, armies, engineers, and civilians working together to support the offensive. Humanity had learned that every person had a role in the defense of their world. The alien command ships loomed ahead, massive and bristling with weapons. Unlike the scattered forces they had encountered before, these ships moved with precision, as if sensing the humans' every maneuver. Liara's squadron took a deep breath and initiated the attack. Energy pulses streaked across space as the humans engaged. Their experimental shields deflected alien fire, while coordinated blasts tore into the hulls of the command ships. The aliens responded with ferocity, firing beams that could obliterate a strike craft with a single shot. Every second was life or death. Rohan piloted alongside Liara, covering her flanks and protecting the team from sudden attacks. "We have to hit the weak points," he shouted over the comms. "Focus on the engines and the central energy nodes." Liara nodded, diving toward a massive energy node on the lead command ship. Explosions erupted as missiles struck true, shaking the alien vessel and causing critical systems to fail. The squadron followed in precise formation, striking each ship in turn. On Earth, the coordinated human forces took advantage of the disruption. Ground troops moved against alien landing crafts that had descended near major cities, while orbital platforms fired precision strikes at smaller vessels. Civilians and engineers worked tirelessly, keeping communication networks intact and assisting wherever they could. The alien fleet began to falter. Without the coordination of their command, ships, smaller groups of ships drifted, collided, or fled in confusion. Humanity had turned the final phase into a sweeping offensive, combining strategy, courage, and determination. But victory was not without cost. Strike crafts were destroyed, pilots were lost, and explosions filled the void of space. Liara watched, as one of her close friends, Commander Soren, was hit by a blast, his ship drifting silently into the darkness. She clenched her jaw but kept flying, knowing that hesitation could cost more lives. Amid the chaos, Rohan spotted the largest remaining alien vessel attempting to escape. "We can't let them flee," he shouted. "If they survive, they'll return with reinforcements." Liara nodded. "Then we finish this together." The two pilots executed a daring maneuver, flying close to the alien ship's hull, dodging weapons fire while aiming for critical points. Energy pulses and missiles struck simultaneously, disabling engines, cutting power to shields, and causing explosions that spread across the vessel. The alien ship, once a symbol of invincibility, now drifted powerless, and the remaining alien ships, seeing their command vessel destroyed, began a full retreat. Humanity had won the decisive battle. On the planet below, survivors cheered. Cities that had been under siege erupted in celebration, though the damage was visible everywhere. Burned forests, destroyed buildings, and scattered debris. Humanity had fought, survived, and won against impossible odds. Dr. Armand Vasquez addressed the commanders from the Central Command Center. "The fleet is in retreat. The command ships are destroyed. Earth is safe, for now. Humanity has shown that bravery, intelligence, and unity can overcome even the most terrifying forces." General Ivanov nodded solemnly. "Yes, Earth is safe. But let us not forget those who gave their lives. Every soldier, pilot, and volunteer who fought is a hero. Their sacrifice allowed us to survive, and their courage ensured our victory." Liara and Rohan returned to Earth, weary but proud. They landed amidst celebrations, but their hearts were heavy for the friends and comrades lost in the battle. They understood that victory came with cost, but also with honor. In the weeks that followed, humanity worked to rebuild. Cities repaired, infrastructure, forests were replanted, and communities came together to heal the wounds left by war. The surviving humans shared stories of bravery, heroism, and cleverness that had turned the tide. The tale of the 9,900 alien ships and the few survivors who had faced them became a legend. Scientists studied the remnants of alien technology, learning from it and adapting it for human use. Pilots trained new generations, teaching tactics, strategy, and the lessons learned in the battles above and on the ground. Humanity understood that vigilance was essential, enemies could return, and the universe was vast and unknown. Liara and Rohan often stood on the rooftops of rebuilt cities, gazing at the stars where the alien fleet had once hovered. They remembered the fear, the courage, and the teamwork that had carried humanity through the darkest days. "We survived," Rohan said quietly. Liara nodded. "Yes, and we will continue to survive. We've learned what humans can do when we fight together. The universe will remember Earth not as a planet that surrendered, but as one that resisted and triumphed." In the far reaches of space, the few alien ships that had escaped drifted silently. Their commanders reported back, shaken and humbled. They had underestimated the humans, thought them weak, primitive, and easy to conquer. Now they knew the truth. Earth's defenders were clever, brave, and relentless. Any future invasion would not be simple. On Earth, humanity continued to recover. Monuments were built to honor the fallen, and the stories of survival inspired new generations. Pilots, soldiers, and civilians alike were celebrated for their courage. The world had faced destruction and come through stronger, wiser, and united. The skies were quiet, but humans remained vigilant. They had learned that survival depended on unity, intelligence, and bravery. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity had shown that it could prevail. Liara and Rohan walked through the streets of a recovering city, children playing amid the ruins, and people working together to rebuild their world. It was a moment of peace, of hope, and of remembrance. "Do you think they'll come back?" Rohan asked. Liara smiled faintly, looking up at the stars. "Maybe. But next time they'll know that Earth fights back. They'll know that humans never give up, and we'll be ready for them." The legend of the 9,900 alien ships and the brave humans who resisted them spread across the globe. Few survived to tell the story directly, but their accounts shaped the future. Humanity had learned its strength, the strength of unity, courage, and unbreakable will. And so, Earth stood victorious, forever changed, yet stronger than ever. Humanity had faced extinction and turned it into a story of triumph. The skies would always remember the courage of those who fought, and the stars would never forget that Earth was a planet of defenders who refused to yield. For those who returned, life continued, marked by the memory of bravery and the knowledge that humans could overcome anything. The alien threat had been great, but humanity had proven something even greater, that the human spirit, when united, is unstoppable. The world looked to the future, not with fear, but with determination, ready to defend its home again if necessary. The story of survival and victory became legend, inspiring hope, courage, and unity for generations to come. Humanity had endured, humanity had fought, and humanity had triumphed. Few returned to tell the tale, but the story of Earth's defenders would live forever.